I need $550,000 by noon tomorrow, Natalie ordered, dropping a manila folder on my dining table like it was a court summons. I smiled. Okay. 4 hours later, I was boarding a one-way flight to Portugal, and everything they'd built on my sacrifice was crumbling. But 12 hours earlier, everything had been different. The doorbell rang at 6:47 on a Tuesday evening. I set down my quarterly reports and walked to the door, already knowing who stood on my porch. Through the frosted glass, I could see two silhouettes, one tall and one familiar. I opened the door. "Daddy!" Natalie stepped forward, arms wide. The embrace lasted 3 seconds too long, her grip just a fraction too tight. Her perfume hit me first. Chanel No. 5, the one I'd bought her last Christmas for $189. Behind her, Liam stood checking his phone. He glanced up, smiled, extended his hand. "Daniel, looking good, man." His handshake was firm, practiced, the kind that said, "Trust me," without earning it. "Come in." They moved past me into the house, and I noticed Liam's eyes sweeping the room, cataloging, assessing. He'd done that the first time they'd visited, back when Natalie had announced their engagement, back when I'd thought he was nervous about meeting his future father-in-law. "Can I get you something to drink?" "Oh, Daddy, you have that Pinot we love?" Natalie settled on my leather couch, the one I'd owned for 16 years, the one Caroline had picked out before the divorce. Her heels, Louboutin, Red Sole, $895, birthday gift from me, clicked against the hardwood. In the wine fridge, Liam was already at my bar. "Actually, Daniel, I've been thinking about that Macallan you mentioned. Special occasions, right? The 25-year-old bottle, $2,300. I'd been saving it for, I didn't know what for, something that mattered." "Help yourself." He did, poured 3 fingers without asking, settled into my reading chair. My chair, the one angled perfectly toward the fireplace, the one I'd sat in every evening for 9 years. I brought Natalie her wine. She took it, smiled, but her eyes were on Liam. A glance. Quick. Meaningful. The kind of look that passes between people who've rehearsed something. "How are the kid?" I asked. "Oh, they're wonderful. Tyler made the honor roll again. Madison's dance recital is next month. You should come." "I'd love to." "Of course, the school costs keep going up." She laughed, but it sounded hollow. $14,000 per semester, each. But it's worth it for their education, right? I'd been paying that tuition for 3 years. $42,000 per year. $126,000 total. Not that she'd mentioned it. "They're getting a great education." Liam swirled his whiskey. "Best private school in Portland. You know what they say, you get what you pay for." The room fell into a strange silence. Not comfortable. Not warm. Liam's leg bounced, a nervous tick he tried to hide. Natalie sipped her wine too quickly, the glass already half empty. I'd prepared dinner. Nothing elaborate. Pan-seared salmon with roasted asparagus. Natalie's favorite since she was 12 years old. I'd driven to the fish market that morning, paid $38 per pound for wild-caught Alaskan salmon, the kind she always ordered at restaurants but never cooked herself. "Dinner's almost ready." "Actually, Daddy, we need to talk about something first." There it was. Natalie set down her wine glass. The base clicked against the coffee table, too loud in the quiet room. Liam leaned forward. "It's a good thing, Daniel. An opportunity." "What kind of opportunity?" Natalie's hand found Liam's. Squeezed. Her voice dropped. Practiced sweetness, coating every word. "You know we've always been grateful for everything you've done for us. The house, the wedding, helping with Liam's businesses." "Ventures," Liam corrected. "Business ventures." "Right. Ventures." She smiled, but her eyes were glassy. "We wouldn't come to you if this wasn't important. If it wasn't critical." The clock in the hallway ticked. Each second stretched, marking time until they finally said what they'd come to say. "We need to borrow some money." I'd heard those words before, so many times before, but something about tonight felt different, heavier. "How much?" Natalie glanced at Liam. He nodded almost imperceptibly. $550,000. The number hung in the air between us like smoke. "That's a substantial amount." "It's an investment opportunity," Liam said, his voice gaining confidence. Real estate development deal. Ground floor. We need to move fast. By tomorrow at noon. Tomorrow. I know it's short notice, but these opportunities don't wait. This is life-changing money, Daniel. We'll triple it in 6 months. Pay you back with interest. It's for the family, Natalie interrupted. Her voice cracked. For Tyler and Madison's future. For our future. You understand that, right, Daddy? Family takes care of family. Her eyes were wet now. Real tears are close enough. If Mom were here, she whispered, she'd tell you to help us. She always said family comes first. She'd be ashamed of the way you're treating us right now. The manipulation hit like a slap. Patricia, who I'd been divorced from for 7 years. Patricia, who was alive and well in Seattle, who'd helped me document every loan, every broken promise, every manipulation. Patricia, whose name Natalie was now weaponizing like a blade, pretending her mother would take her side when Patricia had been warning me about exactly this behavior for years. My hands started trembling. I shoved them in my pockets. That's a lot of money to move that quickly. But you can do it. Natalie leaned forward, her voice urgent now. You've always come through for us, Daddy. You're the only one who ever has. The only one we can count on. Liam set down his whiskey. We wouldn't ask if we had any other options. But the timing, this closes tomorrow. Noon. Wire transfer. He paused. And Daniel, I want to be straight with you. This deal, if it falls through, there are people counting on us. People who might not be happy if we don't deliver. The threat hung there, unspoken but clear. It would be unfortunate, Liam continued, his voice softening to something almost gentle, if anyone had to know about difficulties, financial difficulties. Your restaurants have been doing so well. Would be a shame if that reputation got complicated. Natalie's hand shot out, touched my arm. What Liam means is we're all in this together, Daddy. As a family. And families protect each other, right? We protect you. You protect us. I looked at my daughter. At the woman I'd raised, provided for, sacrificed for. At the person who was now sitting in my home, drinking my wine, threatening my livelihood while calling it love. The room tilted slightly. My coffee from earlier sat cold on the side table. I picked it up, took a sip, tasted like nothing. I'll see what I can do. Natalie's face transformed. The tears dried instantly. Oh, Daddy, I knew you'd understand. She stood, hugged me again, this time shorter. Mission accomplished. Thank you, Daniel. Liam's smile was wide now. You won't regret this. 6 months. We'll pay you back double. You have my word. His word, which had been worth nothing the previous 4 times. They moved toward the door, suddenly in a hurry. The salmon cooled in the kitchen, forgotten. Natalie grabbed her purse. Hermes Birkin, $35,000 anniversary gift from me 2 years ago. We'll call you tomorrow morning with the wire instructions, Liam said. Tomorrow morning. Love you, Daddy. Natalie kissed my cheek. The door closed. Their Tesla's engine hummed to life. Red taillights disappeared down the driveway. I stood in my entryway, listening to the silence they'd left behind. Then I walked to my study and closed the door. The wine glass on my desk caught the light, half full of the Pinot Natalie had abandoned. 9 years ago, she'd asked me to co-sign a loan for her first apartment, $23,000. It's just a formality, Dad. The bank requires it, but I'll make every payment myself. I promise. I'd believed her, wanted to believe her. She'd just graduated college, full of hope and plans. Patricia had warned me. Daniel, she needs to learn to stand on her own. She will. This is just help getting started. 6 months later, the bank called. Natalie hadn't made a single payment. I paid all $23,000. When I'd mentioned it to her, she'd shrugged. I thought you were helping me, Dad. Isn't that what parents do? I set down the wine glass. The file cabinet stood against the wall. 8 years of documentation organized by date. I pulled out the first folder. Year 1, the wedding at Sun River Resort. $90,000 for 200 guests. Open bar, live band, flowers imported from Ecuador. Natalie had wanted everything perfect. Just this once, Daddy. A wedding is once in a lifetime. I'd paid every cent, taken out a second mortgage on this house to cover it. Year 2, the house down payment in Westlake. $220,000. We found our dream home, Dad, but we're 20,000 short on the down payment. Could you help? Just the down payment. We'll handle the mortgage ourselves. Except they hadn't. I'd ended up covering the first 6 mortgage payments when Liam's consulting business failed to generate income. Another $14,000. Year 3. Liam's first business venture, an artisanal coffee roastery, $75,000 initial investment. This is it, Daniel. Coffee is huge right now. We'll be profitable in 6 months, definitely within a year. The business closed in 8 months. Liam blamed the location, the market, the economy, never himself. Year 4, the second venture, a boutique fitness studio, $98,000. Fitness is recession-proof, Dad. Everyone wants to be healthy. It lasted 11 months. Year 5, private school tuition started, $14,000 per semester, per child. 2 children, $56,000 per year. I'd committed to paying through high school. That was 6 more years. $336,000 total. Plus the SUV when their Audi wasn't practical for a family. $42,000. Plus the family vacation to Hawaii when they needed to reconnect. $16,000. Plus Natalie's emergency surgery. The insurance didn't cover everything. $28,000. Year 6, Liam's tech startup. $135,000. This is different, Daniel. I've got investors interested. Real momentum. The investors never materialized. The startup became another LinkedIn listing under past experience. Year 7, the investment property that was guaranteed income. $80,000 down payment. They'd planned to flip it. Instead, they'd rented it to tenants who trashed it, then sold it at a loss. I'd covered the repairs and legal fees. Another $33,000. Year 8, Liam's restaurant concept. The one that was right in your wheelhouse, Daniel. $120,000. It never opened. Permits fell through. Or that's what Liam said. I suspected the money went elsewhere. I'd seen photos of them at Caesar's Palace around the same time. Poker tables in the background. Year 9, the ongoing expenses. Liam's business lunches that I somehow ended up covering. Natalie's work wardrobe for a job she quit after 3 months. The grandchildren's summer camps, music lessons, sports equipment. $5,000 here, $8,000 there, $12,000 for a medical emergency that turned out to be cosmetic surgery. I opened my laptop and created a spreadsheet. Row by row, I entered every dollar, every loan that became a gift, every temporary help that became permanent, every promise to pay back that evaporated. The total appeared at the bottom, $1,412,000. I stared at that number for 17 minutes. I'd spent 34 years building Foster's Restaurant Group from one struggling diner into a Portland institution. 7 locations now, 230 employees. I knew when a partnership was costing more than it was worth. I knew when to cut losses before they consumed everything. I knew when an investment was bad. This was a bad investment. Time to liquidate. I wasn't angry. Anger would have been easier. Anger burns hot and fades. This was different. This was the cold clarity of someone who'd finally seen the truth. Natalie didn't love me. Natalie loved what I could provide. There was no saving this. There was only ending it. I picked up my phone, scrolled through my contacts until I found the name I needed. Thomas Carter, attorney, the man I'd hired 6 years ago, the first time I'd realized this might be necessary. He answered on the second ring. "Daniel, I was expecting your call." "It's time, Thomas." "What was the final straw?" $550,000 by noon tomorrow for an investment opportunity. I paused. Liam made threats about my restaurant reputation. Natalie mentioned Patricia, said she'd be ashamed of me. Silence on the other end. Then a long exhale. "Okay, give me 3 hours. I'll have everything ready. Can you be at my office by 11 tonight?" "I'll be there." "Daniel, are you sure? Once we do this, I've never been more sure of anything in my life." I hung up. The house felt different now. Lighter, maybe, or emptier. My second call was to Patricia. "It's happening. I said when she answered. Tonight? Tonight. Thomas is preparing everything. How do you feel? I don't know yet. Ask me in 6 months. Daniel, her voice was soft. This is the right thing. You know that. I know. The house in Cascais is ready. I'll meet you there in 2 days. Patricia, my ex-wife, the woman I divorced 7 years ago in the messiest way possible, on paper. In reality, we'd orchestrated the entire thing, created a narrative of irreconcilable differences while quietly transferring assets, protecting what I'd built, preparing for this moment. I'll see you soon. My third call was to Marcus Green, my business partner and oldest friend. She finally did it? He asked. 550 grand by tomorrow. Jesus, Daniel, after everything you've already given her? I know. What did Patricia say? She's ready in Cascais. Marcus laughed, bitter and knowing. 7 years you've been playing the divorced father, maintaining 2 households, all so Natalie wouldn't see this coming. 7 years of insurance. Worth every penny? I looked around my study. At the photos on the wall, Natalie's graduation, her wedding, the grandchildren. At the receipts and documents that told a different story than those smiling photos suggested. We'll find out. I walked through my house one final time. The living room where Natalie had learned to walk. The kitchen where I'd taught her to make pancakes on Sunday mornings. The backyard where we'd planted a cherry tree for her 10th birthday. Empty now. Just rooms and memories of a person who'd stopped existing somewhere along the way. I packed one suitcase, 2 weeks of clothes, my laptop, the important documents Thomas didn't already have. On the counter, I left my keys. My wallet contained only one credit card, the one in my own name, the one Natalie didn't know about. At 10:43, I drove to Thomas's office. Downtown Portland was quiet, the streets slick with evening rain that never seemed to stop. His office lights were on. I took the elevator to the 12th floor. Thomas looked exhausted, but his desk was organized. Neat stacks of paper, each pile labeled, each document flagged with colored tabs. Coffee? Please. He poured 2 cups. We sat across from each other, the overhead lights humming. Let's go through this, Thomas said. Chronologically, he opened the first folder. At midnight, all joint accounts will be frozen. That's 4 accounts totaling approximately $238,000. Natalie has access to all 4. By 12:01, she won't. Okay? At 12:02, all credit cards in your name will be canceled. That's 3 cards. Natalie is an authorized user on all 3. Combined limit of $120,000. She's currently carrying a balance of $87,000 across all 3. That high? Designer purchases mostly. Neiman Marcus, Nordstrom, Saks. Also restaurants, travel, cash advances. Thomas slid over a printout. Highlighted the unusual charges. 3 separate cash advances in the last month. $20,000 each. Different locations. Vegas, Reno, Lake Tahoe. I studied the printout. The dates aligned with weekends Natalie had said they were visiting friends. Gambling. That would be my guess. Thomas opened the second folder. The house in Westlake. You provided the down payment and co-signed the mortgage. However, the deed is actually in a family trust that you control. Natalie and Liam were never on the title. They don't know that. No, they think they own it. The mortgage is in their names, but it's subordinate to the trust. You can reclaim the property at any time. Do it. That'll take 48 hours. Legal notice must be served. Fine. Third folder. The private school tuition. I've contacted the schools. Explain the situation. As of Friday, your automatic payments will stop. The schools will bill Natalie directly. She'll have 30 days to arrange payment or the children will be withdrawn. My chest tightened. The kids can enroll in public school, good public schools in Portland. They'll be fine, Daniel. Better than fine. I nodded. Tyler and Madison, 8 and 6. They didn't deserve this, but they didn't deserve parents who taught them that people were resources to be exploited either. Fourth folder, the thickest one. Documentation of all loans and gifts, every wire transfer, every check, every credit card payment you made on their behalf. I've categorized them. Formal loans with signed agreements total $920,000. Natalie signed promissory notes for everyone. None have been repaid. She'll say they were gifts. She can try, but she signed documents. Documents that use the word loan repeatedly. Documents that include repayment terms. Documents she violated. Thomas pulled out another stack. These are the gifts, no signed agreements. Birthdays, holidays, helping with expenses. $492,000 total. 1.4 million. Exactly what my spreadsheet had calculated. There's more. Thomas opened a fifth folder I hadn't seen before. I hired a private investigator 3 months ago, after you mentioned your suspicions about Liam. And gambling debts, $483,000, owed to various casinos and private individuals. Some of it dangerous debt, the kind where people break legs if you don't pay. The room tilted. That's what this is about, the $550,000. Undoubtedly. They need to pay off Liam's debts before someone gets hurt. They were going to use your money to do it. Then I guarantee they would have blamed the next crisis on someone else. The cycle would continue. Thomas pulled out photos. Liam at a blackjack table, chips stacked high. Liam at a poker room, looking drunk and desperate. Liam outside a seedy downtown office building, known for hosting high-stakes games. The investigator also found these. More documents. Liam has personal loans Natalie doesn't know about. $180,000 from predatory lenders. Interest rates between 25 and 40%. He's been hiding these from her. Jesus. And credit cards in his name only. $122,000 in debt across 8 cards. All maxed out. He's been paying the minimums. Barely. I did the math. The gambling debts, the hidden loans, the secret credit cards. $785,000 in problems Natalie didn't even know existed. She has no idea. None. Liam's been intercepting mail, hiding statements, lying about business meetings. Thomas leaned back. Daniel, when this collapses, it's going to be bad. Natalie will lose everything. The house, the lifestyle, possibly custody if CPS gets involved because of the instability. She made her choices. She did. I just need you to understand the consequences. Not for her, for Tyler and Madison. I thought about my grandchildren, the bright kids who called me Grandpa Dan, who ran to hug me when I visited, who didn't understand why adults fought about money. The trust includes provisions for them, I said, education funds, separate from Natalie and Liam, protected. Already done, $500,000 in educational trusts. They can access it for college, vocational training, anything education related. Natalie and Liam can't touch it. Good. Thomas gathered the folders. There's one more thing. I need you to sign off on the documentation we're leaving for them. He pulled out a box. Standard cardboard file box. Inside were copies of everything. Every loan document Natalie had signed. Every promissory note. Bank statements showing $1.4 million in transfers. The photos of Liam gambling. Evidence of his hidden debts. A letter from Thomas explaining that all financial support had ended immediately. All joint accounts were frozen, all credit cards canceled, and legal proceedings would begin to recover the $920,000 in unpaid loans. And one more thing, the deed to the house showing the family trust's ownership, showing that Natalie and Liam had never owned it, that they'd been living in my property for 7 years, believing it was theirs. I'll have this delivered to their house tomorrow at noon, right when they're expecting to pick up money from you. Perfect. Where will you be? Portugal. Flight leaves at 5 a.m. I'll be over the Atlantic when they open that box. And Patricia meets me in Cascais on Thursday. Thomas extended his hand. Good luck, Daniel. For what it's worth, I think you're doing the right thing. Thanks, Thomas. I signed the last documents. Thomas walked me to the elevator. Daniel, one more thing. Yeah? Don't turn your phone back on. Not for at least a week. Let this play out without you. Let them sit in the consequences. I won't. The elevator doors closed. I drove home through Portland rain, parked in my driveway, went inside one last time. At 2:30 a.m., I placed the suitcase by the door, set my phone on the kitchen counter, powered off, Left a note for my assistant manager, Julian, who had a key and would handle the restaurants. At 4:15 a.m., I called an Uber. At 4:52 a.m., I walked through TSA security. At 5:38 a.m., my flight lifted off, Portland disappearing beneath clouds and rain. I ordered tomato juice from the flight attendant, stared out the window at nothing. For the first time in 9 years, I felt nothing. Not guilt, not satisfaction, nothing. Just the hum of engines and the knowledge that somewhere below, my old life was ending. Day 1, 11:47 a.m. Thomas called from his office. I'd turned my phone back on briefly for this one call. They're on their way to your house. Okay. How are you doing? Ask me later. I hung up, turned the phone back off. Day 1, 12:15 p.m., Portland. Natalie and Liam arrived at my house expecting money. Instead, they found it empty and dark. On the porch, under the overhang out of the rain, sat the cardboard box. According to Thomas's later email, Natalie had opened it right there, pulled out the first document, the deed, and gone white. This is wrong, she'd said. This has to be wrong. Liam grabbed the box, started pulling out papers, the loan documents, the promissory notes, each one with Natalie's signature, clear and undeniable. Then the photos. Liam at the casinos, Liam with cards and chips, Liam walking out of a building that advertised payday loans in neon. What the fuck is this? Natalie had turned on him. I can explain. $483,000? $483,000? The neighbors heard the screaming. Liam had tried to get in his car, drive away. The credit card he used for gas declined. He tried another. Declined. All 5 cards in his wallet. All declined. Natalie tried to call me. Straight to voicemail. Tried again. And again. 37 times in 2 hours, according to the call log Thomas showed me later. She'd tried the credit cards. Declined. Checked the bank app on her phone. Accounts locked. All 4 showing 0 available balance. Day 1, 3:30 p.m. Natalie showed up at Thomas's office, demanding to see me. Thomas's receptionist turned her away. Mr. Foster is not available. What does that mean? Where is he? I'm not at liberty to say. He can't do this. He's my father. He can't just abandon me. Ma'am, I need you to leave, or I'll call security. Natalie called Patricia. Patricia didn't answer. Voicemail. Day 2, 7:18 a.m. Natalie tried to pay for groceries. Card declined. She tried another. Declined. Fumbled in her purse for cash. Found $32. The cashier waited, patient but cold. Natalie left half the groceries on the counter. Took the rest home, humiliated. Day 2, 10:30 a.m. The mortgage company called. First payment in Natalie and Liam's names. $3,400 due immediately. But my father, ma'am, according to our records, Daniel Foster is no longer responsible for this account. The automatic payment was canceled. You need to arrange payment within 10 days or we'll begin foreclosure proceedings. Day 2, 2:15 p.m. Men arrived at the house, 2 of them. Large, professional. They spoke to Liam on the porch for 7 minutes. Liam went inside, came back out with his laptop, his watch, his wedding ring. Natalie watched from the window. Day 3, 9:40 a.m. The private schools called, both of them within an hour of each other. Ms. Foster, we need to discuss Tyler's tuition. The automatic payment didn't process. We'll need $5,800 by Friday, or we'll have to withdraw him. Madison's school said the same. Different amount, $6,200, but same message, $11,000. Due Friday. Natalie didn't have $1,100. Day 4, Thursday. Liam was gone. Not just out, gone. His clothes cleaned out of the closet, his toothbrush missing, a note on the counter. I'm sorry, I fucked up. I can't fix this. I'm going to my brother's in Mexico. Don't try to find me. Take care of yourself. I'm sorry. Natalie sat on the floor of their bedroom and cried. Real tears this time. Not manipulation, not performance, just broken, empty tears. Day 5, Friday. The schools withdrew Tyler and Madison. Natalie enrolled them in public school. The paperwork took 3 hours. The counselor was kind but firm. "They'll do fine here, Ms. Foster. Good kids adjust." Natalie drove home in silence. Tyler asked why they couldn't go to their old school. Madison cried, missing her friends. Day 6, Saturday. Foreclosure notice arrived. Certified mail. 30 days to vacate the property. Day 7, Sunday. Thomas sent an email with attached documentation, a formal demand for repayment of the $920,000 in outstanding loans. Payment due in full within 90 days or he'd file a civil suit. Natalie responded, "You've destroyed me. I'm your daughter. How could you?" Thomas replied, professional and cold. "These were legally binding loan agreements you signed. Mr. Foster fulfilled his obligations. You did not. If you wish to discuss a payment plan, contact this office." Week 2. Natalie got a job, Macy's at Lloyd Center. Sales associate, $16 per hour. 40 hours per week if she was lucky. She'd never worked retail, never dealt with rude customers, never stood for 8 hours straight, never had to say, "Yes, ma'am," to women who looked at her like she was invisible. She came home with swollen feet and a paycheck that might cover groceries. Week 3, she got a second job. IHOP on 82nd Avenue, night shift, Thursday through Sunday, $2.25 per hour plus tips. The tips were good on weekend mornings, brutal on weekday nights. She worked nearly 70 hours a week. Left Tyler and Madison with her neighbor, Mrs. Chen, who charged $20 per day per kid. $80 per week she didn't have. Week 4, eviction day. The sheriff arrived at 8 a.m. with papers. Natalie had packed what she could fit in her car. The rest, furniture, the flat-screen TV, the expensive kitchen gadgets, stayed behind. She found a studio apartment above a pizza shop on Division Street, $650 per month. The same neighborhood she'd once called dangerous when driving through on her way somewhere better. One room, a bathroom with a shower that dripped, a kitchenette with a hot plate, 2 twin mattresses on the floor for the kids, an air mattress for herself. Tyler looked around. "Mom, where's my bed?" "This is temporary, baby, just temporary." But she didn't know if she believed it. Week 5. Natalie sold her designer belongings, the Hermes Birkin, the Louboutins, the Chanel bags. Everything she'd accumulated went to consignment shops and pawn stores. The Birkin, originally $35,000, sold for $8,000. The shoes, $895 each, went for $75 a pair. The jewelry, thousands of dollars worth, netted $1,200. Everything sold, $32,000 total. She'd owned items worth over $95,000, and she was still $510,000 short of covering what Liam owed. Week 8, Natalie lost weight, 28 pounds, not intentionally. Exhaustion and stress burned it off. She looked older, felt older. At Macy's, a customer snapped at her about a return policy. Natalie apologized, processed the return, maintained her smile. At IHOP, a table of drunk college kids left her a $5 tip on an $80 bill. She pocketed it without expression. Tyler struggled in his new school. Bullies called him poor. Madison wet the bed. Natalie couldn't afford a therapist. She sat in her apartment at 1 a.m. after a double shift, feet throbbing, and opened her laptop. The bank app showed $2,168. Rent was due in 4 days. The electric bill sat unpaid. She thought about calling me, about begging, about promising to change. She didn't. Instead, she pulled out the documents from the box, the loan agreements she'd signed, read through them for the first time, really read them. $920,000, her signature on every page. Promises she'd made and broken, terms she'd agreed to and ignored. She treated me like an ATM, like a resource, like someone who existed to fund her life. The truth of it sat heavy in that cramped studio. She destroyed us, not Liam, not circumstance. Her. Month 3. Something changed, subtle at first. Natalie started reading books, financial literacy books from the library. Your Money or Your Life, The Total Money Makeover. Books she would have mocked before. She made a budget, wrote down every dollar she earned, every dollar she spent. Found places to cut. At Macy's, her manager noticed. "You've been doing good work, Natalie. Customers like you. Thank you. We're promoting you to department lead. $19 an hour. Interested?" Her first earned promotion ever. Yes, absolutely. At IHOP, the other servers started including her in their conversations, asking about her kids, sharing tips about good customers, bad customers, how to maximize your time, real connections, based on nothing but shared experience. Month 5, Tyler and Madison adjusted, made friends. Tyler joined the school chess club. Madison got the lead in the third grade play. They stopped asking about their old school. Natalie watched them adapt, watched them find joy in simpler things, and felt something she hadn't felt in years. Pride. Real pride. Not in what she owned, but in who her children were becoming. Month 6. I returned to Portland. Not permanently, just to see, to understand what had happened after I'd left. Thomas met me at a coffee shop in Northwest Portland. Stumptown Coffee, the original location. We sat outside despite the drizzle. "She's working 2 jobs, Thomas said. Macy's and IHOP. About 70 hours a week. Lost a lot of weight. Looks exhausted. The kids. Public school. Doing well, actually. Better than expected. And Liam? Still in Mexico as far as I know. Sent 1 letter to Natalie. Said he was sorry. Said he'd fucked up beyond repair. Told her not to wait for him." I sipped my coffee. It tasted good. Portland coffee always did. "Has she tried to contact me?" "Not in 2 months. The first 6 weeks, constantly. Calls, emails, messages, through mutual friends. Then nothing." "What changed?" Thomas shrugged. "Maybe she finally understood. Or maybe she just ran out of energy to be angry." I thought about that. About Natalie in a studio apartment, working jobs she'd once looked down on, raising her kids alone. "I want to see her." "Are you sure?" "No, but I need to." Thomas gave me the address. Macy's at Lloyd Center. She worked Tuesday through Saturday, 10 to 6. I walked into Macy's on a Thursday afternoon at 2:30. The store smelled like perfume and new clothes, bright and sterile. Found her in women's shoes. She was helping a customer, explaining the difference between 2 brands of sneakers. Patient, focused. Her name tag read, "Natalie, Department Lead." I waited until the customer left. Then I approached. She saw me, froze. The color drained from her face. "Daddy, Natalie." We stood 3 feet apart, an impossible distance. "I didn't know you were back." "Just for a few days." She looked older, thinner, tired in a way that went beyond physical exhaustion. But her eyes were different, clearer somehow, less entitled, more aware. "How are the kids?" "They're good, really good. Tyler made honor roll. Madison's in a play." "I heard, that's great." Silence stretched between us. A customer browsed nearby, oblivious. "I'm on break in 20 minutes, Natalie said quietly. "There's a food court, if you want to talk." "I'll be there." We sat at a table near Panda Express, plastic trays between us. Natalie had ordered water, nothing else. "Are you eating?" I asked. "I had lunch." She hadn't, I could tell. "I'm sorry," she said suddenly, "for everything. I know that doesn't fix anything. I know sorry is just a word. But I need you to know I understand now. What I did, what I took from you." I said nothing. Let her continue. "I treated you like a bank, like someone who existed to fund my life. I made excuses. It was for the kids, it was for our future, it was temporary. But it wasn't. It was greed. It was entitlement. It was me believing I deserved everything without earning anything." Her voice cracked. She wiped her eyes quickly, aware of people around us. Liam's gambling, his debts, I didn't know about most of it. But that doesn't matter. I knew I was using you. I knew every time I asked for money I was taking advantage. And I did it anyway. "Why?" She looked at me. "Because I could. Because you always said yes. Because I told myself that's what fathers do. They provide, they sacrifice, but that's not what I believed. I believed you owed me. That your money was my money. That I had a right to it just by being your daughter." The food court buzzed with conversation. Trays clattering, children laughing, normal life happening around us. I've been working 70 hours a week for 5 months, Natalie continued. Macy's and IHOP. I take home about $2,800 a month after taxes. My rent is $650. Groceries are $400. Electric, water, gas, another $200. Mrs. Chen watches the kids for $80 a week, $320 a month. That leaves $1,230 for everything else. Clothes, school supplies, car insurance, medical. And I still owe you $920,000. She laughed, bitter and broken. It would take me 27 years to pay you back. If I never spent another dollar on anything but necessities, 27 years. I'm not asking for it back. I know, Thomas said you'd accept a settlement, but I can't even afford that. I can't afford anything. She met my eyes. I'm not asking you to help. I'm not asking for anything. I just want you to know I get it now. What I cost you, not just money, trust, love, respect. I destroyed all of it, and I'm sorry. We sat in silence. A mother walked by with two small children, one crying about ice cream. Natalie watched them, something sad in her expression. You've changed, I said finally. I've had to. No, you could have blamed me. Could have told yourself I abandoned you, that I was cruel. You could have played the victim. I tried. For about 6 weeks, I was furious. Told myself you were heartless. That family doesn't do this to family. She shook her head. But every time I got angry, I'd look at those loan documents, my signature, my promises, all broken. And I realized you didn't destroy me. I destroyed myself. You just stopped catching me when I fell. I pulled an envelope from my pocket, set it on the table. What's this? Open it. Inside were two things, a check for $4,500 and a contract. I'm starting a financial literacy program, I said, teaching workshops at community centers, high schools, basic budgeting, credit management, understanding debt. Things I wish I'd taught you. Natalie stared at the papers. I need someone to help develop the curriculum, someone who's lived both sides, someone who understands what it's like to have everything and what it's like to have nothing, someone who knows the cost of financial irresponsibility because they've paid it. You want me to work for me? Yes, 20 hours per month, $225 per hour. That's the check. Your first month paid up front. Her hands shook. Daddy, I can't. You can. You will. This isn't charity, it's an opportunity. You'll earn every cent. And Natalie, I leaned forward. If you miss a deadline, if you don't deliver what you promise, you're fired. No second chances. No family. Exceptions. You'll be an employee, not my daughter. Understand? She nodded, tears streaming now. There's one condition. What? Keep your IHOP shifts, for now, at least 6 months, because I need to know you won't rely on this, that you won't fall back into old patterns. You need to prove, to yourself, not to me, that you can stand on your own. I will, I promise. Don't promise, just do it. I stood. She stood too, uncertain. I'm not ready to be your father again, I said quietly. Not yet, maybe not ever. But I'm willing to be your employer, your teacher. We'll see where it goes from there. Thank you, her voice barely a whisper. I walked away, didn't look back. Month 8. Natalie kept her IHOP shifts, every weekend, Thursday night through Sunday morning. She was exhausted, but she didn't quit. The financial literacy work was harder than she'd expected. I'd given her a tight deadline, 3 workshop modules, each 90 minutes long, with activities and handouts. Everything had to be reviewed and approved. She missed the first deadline by 2 days, called me, apologetic. I'm sorry, the IHOP shift ran late, and Tyler got sick, and do you want excuses to work, or do you want results to work? Silence. Then, results. Then get it done. You have 48 hours. She delivered in 36, month 10. The first workshop launched at a community center in Southeast Portland. 23 people attended. Single mothers, recent immigrants, young adults drowning in student debt, people who needed help. Natalie stood in front of them, nervous but prepared. She talked about budgets, about wants versus needs. She talked about credit cards, about compound interest, about how debt snowballs, and then she talked about herself. I destroyed my relationship with my father because I thought his money was my money. I spent over $1 million of his savings. I signed loan documents I never intended to honor. I treated him like an ATM, not a person. The room was silent. I'm not telling you this for sympathy. I'm telling you because I want you to understand that financial irresponsibility doesn't just cost money. It costs relationships. It costs respect. It costs your dignity. And rebuilding that, it takes years. After the workshop, 3 people stayed to talk to her, asked questions, shared their own stories, thanked her for being honest. Natalie drove home and cried in her car for 20 minutes. Not sad tears, relief tears, purpose tears. Month 12. I'd been living in Portugal for a year. Cascais, a fishing village turned beach town west of Lisbon. Patricia and I had a small apartment overlooking the ocean. 2 bedrooms, simple furniture, nothing expensive. I taught English to local children 3 days a week. Charged almost nothing. The kids were bright and eager, and teaching them reminded me why I'd opened my first restaurant, to serve people, not to accumulate wealth. My blood pressure dropped 28 points. I lost, 18 pounds, went off 4 medications. The doctor in Lisbon smiled when she saw my numbers. You were dying slowly in America, she said. Here, you are living. She was right. Patricia and I walked on the beach every evening. We weren't romantic. That part of our relationship had ended years ago. But we were partners, friends, people who understood each other. Do you miss Portland? She asked one night. Sometimes. I miss Julian and the restaurant staff. I miss Powell's books. I miss the rain. But not Natalie. I thought about it. I miss the daughter I thought I had, the person I believed she was. But that person might never have existed. Maybe I created her in my mind. And the real Natalie, the one working 2 jobs? I don't know her yet. Maybe I will. Maybe I won't. We walked in silence, waves crashing, seagulls crying overhead. Month 14. Natalie's workshops expanded. 3 community centers now. 2 high schools. She'd developed 6 modules total, covering everything from basic budgeting to understanding mortgages. The feedback was overwhelmingly positive. One school district contacted her about developing curriculum for their economics classes. I don't know if I'm qualified, she told me on the phone. You're more qualified than people with degrees who've never struggled. You know what it feels like to lose everything. That's worth more than any credential. She took the contract. $3,000 for a semester-long curriculum. Her biggest single payment yet. She called me after she signed. I did it, Dad. I really did it. Dad, not Daddy. The word felt different, more adult, more earned. I'm proud of you. Silence on the line. Then, thank you. Month 18. I returned to Portland for Thanksgiving, not to stay, just to visit. Natalie invited me to dinner. Not at her apartment, it was too small. At a park near her place, Southeast Portland, Laurelhurst Park. We'd bring food, she said, have a picnic. I arrived at noon, found her setting up a blanket on the grass. Tyler and Madison were kicking a soccer ball nearby. They saw me, ran over. Grandpa Dan! Madison hugged my waist. Tyler shook my hand, trying to be grown up at 10 years old. How's school? Good. I'm in advanced math now. And I got the lead in our spring musical, Madison beamed. That's wonderful. Natalie watched us, something soft in her expression. She'd gained some weight back, looked healthier. Her clothes were simple, jeans, a sweater from Target, but she looked comfortable. Real. We sat on the blanket. Natalie unpacked the food. Turkey sandwiches, potato salad, fruit, cookies. I made everything myself, she said. First time I've cooked a full meal in, I don't know how long. We ate, talked about school, about work, about the weather, surface things, safe things. After lunch, Tyler and Madison ran off to play. Natalie and I sat watching them. I have something to tell you, she said. Okay. I found out where Liam is. His brother called me. Liam's in rehab. Gambling addiction treatment. Been there 4 months. How do you feel about that? She shrugged. I hope he gets better, for his sake. But I'm done. Filed for divorce 3 months ago. It'll be final in January. Good. I'm not angry at him anymore. I wasted too much energy on anger. Now I just want to move forward. A breeze moved through the trees. Leaves fell, red and gold. I paid off $8,000 in debt, Natalie said, from the credit cards. I've been paying $500 a month. It'll take 11 more months, but I'll clear it. That's impressive. And I saved $3,000 in an emergency fund. First time I've ever had savings that I didn't immediately spend. She pulled out her phone, showed me a budgeting app. Every dollar tracked, every expense categorized. This is who I am now. I know it doesn't erase what I did. I know I still owe you $912,000 that I'll probably never be able to repay. But I'm trying. Every day, I'm trying to be better. You are better. She looked at me, eyes wet. Do you think you'll ever forgive me? I thought about that question. Really thought. I don't know, forgiveness is complicated, but I don't hate you. I don't resent you. And I'm starting to respect you. That's something. It's more than I deserve. Maybe, maybe not. We sat in silence. Tyler scored a goal on Madison. She laughed, chased him across the grass. They're good kids, I said. They are. Despite everything, they're turning out okay. Because of you, you're showing them something important. How to fail and rebuild. How to take responsibility. Those are lessons worth more than anything I could have bought them. Natalie wiped her eyes. I wish I'd learned them earlier. Me too. But better late than never. Year 2, November. Thanksgiving again. This time at Natalie's new apartment. Not new. Still small. But a 2-bedroom now. Tyler and Madison had their own room. Natalie slept on a futon in the living room. She'd kept her IHOP weekend shifts for 8 months before finally quitting. The financial literacy work had expanded enough to support her. She now worked for 3 school districts, developed curriculum for 2 nonprofits, and ran monthly workshops at 5 locations. Her income, $48,000 per year, more than she'd ever earned in her life. The apartment was decorated simply. Furniture from IKEA and Goodwill, plates from Target, nothing expensive. But it was clean, organized, hers. Patricia came to Thanksgiving too, the first time she and Natalie had seen each other in 3 years. Hello, Natalie. Hi, Patricia. Awkward at first. Then Natalie said, Thank you. For what? For helping Dad protect himself. For being there when he needed someone. I know now that you two never really divorced. That it was all planned. Patricia glanced at me. I nodded. How long have you known? Patricia asked. 6 months. Thomas accidentally mentioned it. I wasn't angry. I was relieved, actually. Glad Dad had someone. We sat around Natalie's small table. Turkey from the grocery store, sides from scratch. Natalie had cooked everything herself, following YouTube tutorials. It's not fancy, she apologized. It's perfect, I said. And it was. Not because of the food, because of what it represented. A daughter who'd learned to build instead of take, to create instead of demand. After dinner, Tyler and Madison showed me their room. Homework taped to the walls, books from the library stacked on a shared desk. Simple but full of life. Grandpa, are you and Mom friends again? Madison asked. We're working on it, sweetheart. Good, because Thanksgiving is better when everyone's together. Out of the mouths of children. Year 3, spring. Natalie called me in Portugal. Her voice was excited. I got invited to speak at Portland Community College and Reed College, and they want me to write a curriculum guide that'll be published by McGraw-Hill. That's incredible. And Dad? There's something else, something I've been saving for. What? There was a savings bond, the one you set up for me when I was born. Remember? It matured last year. $45,000. I never touched it. Not once. Even when I was desperate. I remembered. I'd forgotten about it, honestly. Assumed she'd cashed it years ago. I want to use it as a down payment on a house. A small house. Nothing fancy. But mine. Earned. Not given. My chest tightened. That's your money, Natalie. You don't need my permission. I know. But I wanted you to know that I'm doing this right. That I saved another $30,000 on top of it. That I have good credit now. That I qualified for a mortgage on my own. I'm proud of you. Will you come to the closing? I thought about it. About flying back to Portland, about watching my daughter sign papers for something she'd earned herself. Yes, I'll be there. The closing was at a title company in Beaverton. Natalie signed document after document, her hand steady. Tyler and Madison sat in the waiting room, excited about their new house. 3 bedrooms, 1,200 square feet, built in 1978. Nothing special, everything special. After we drove to see it, a modest house on a quiet street, small yard, older kitchen, but solid, real. Natalie stood in the empty living room, keys in her hand. 3 years ago, I had everything. Big house, luxury car, designer everything. And I was miserable, entitled, empty. She looked around. Now I have this. A house I bought with my own money. A job I earned. Kids who respect me because I'm showing them how to work, not how to take. You built this. We built this, you and me. You by letting me fall. Me by learning to stand up. I didn't correct her. Let her have that moment. Year 3, November. Thanksgiving at Natalie's house. Her house. Patricia and I flew in from Portugal. Julian came, my assistant. Manager who'd kept Foster's running. Thomas Carter and his wife. Marcus and his family. Natalie cooked everything. Turkey, stuffing, mashed potatoes, green beans, pumpkin pie. We sat around her dining table, the one she'd bought at IKEA and assembled herself, on mismatched chairs. Someone proposed a toast. To family, Patricia said. To second chances, Marcus added. To hard work, Julian offered. Natalie looked at me. To learning what really matters. I raised my glass. Water, not wine. To letting go of what doesn't serve us, and holding on to what does. We clinked glasses. Plastic from Target, sturdy and cheap. After dinner, we sat in the living room. No fancy furniture, just a couch from Craigslist, folding chairs, people packed in close. Tyler and Madison fell asleep on the floor. Natalie covered them with blankets. I watched my daughter move around her small house, content in a way she'd never been in the mansion I'd bought her. She'd lost everything, and in losing it, she'd found herself. Patricia touched my arm. Was it worth it? I thought about the $1,412,000, about the 9 years of being used, about the pain of walking away. Then I looked around, at Natalie, genuinely happy, at Tyler and Madison, learning real values, at a family that had been broken and was slowly, carefully healing. Yes, I said, it was worth it. I'd spent 58 years building a fortune, 7 restaurants, properties, investments. At my peak, I'd been worth nearly $8 million. I'd given $1.4 million to my daughter, trying to buy her love, trying to be the father I thought she needed. And I'd lost both the money and the daughter in the process. But sitting in that cramped living room in Beaverton, eating pumpkin pie on paper plates, listening to my grandchildren breathe soft and steady in sleep, I realized something. The fortune I'd built was nothing compared to the wealth in that room. A daughter's respect, earned not inherited. Grandchildren learning that value comes from character, not consumption. An ex-wife who'd become a true partner. Friends who'd stood by me through everything. Sometimes the greatest fortune isn't what you have. It's what you're brave enough to lose. Sometimes the best investment you can make is in yourself, in your boundaries, in your refusal to be used, even if it costs everything else. I looked at Natalie. She caught my eye, smiled. I love you, Dad. I love you too. And this time I meant it. Not out of obligation, not out of guilt, but because the person sitting across from me had earned it. One painful, humbling, transformative step at a time. If you like this story, please like this video. Subscribe to the channel and share your impressions in the comments below.